Okay, so apparently we are recording now, and so I'm here with. Would you like me to say your name or no?
Yep, you're completely okay.
Okay, Lucas Cadoo from the Cadoomed podcast. You can find it on all the major players, and I'm going to hand it over to Lucas and let him start. Go ahead, Lucas.
Oh, hello everybody. First of all, I'm Lucas. I grew up in southeastern Michigan, Hudson, and I've been here for 32 years. My family's pretty well known around the area, and I had a kind of rough upbringing and haven't been able to live so much of a normal life. So I decided to make my own way in life and start my own business and a podcast and a brand, and I'm going to try to start something that will help bring people together and include people in more things, because I was always a black sheep. I had odd interests. I wasn't always feeling included wherever I went. I didn't feel like I could always be myself. So I'm trying to show people that you can still be successful doing whatever you love, no matter what society tells you is the role you should be fitting into. My first podcast that I'm working on is From the Tomb with Cadoomed. The backstory I set up behind that is through all the trauma in my life, it kind of split my mentality, and I connected with an alternate universe that's fascinated into the darker aspects of life, like true crime and the paranormal and cryptids, aliens, criminals, things of that nature. Just because that's always the kind of stuff that's fascinated me, and I can sit down and talk about for hours, and even just research for hours with nobody else around, that I can just talk into a microphone about and teach people and help people see that, hey, other people are like this, and I can use this in a way that will get me somewhere better in life. My main goals with everything are, like I said, trying to keep everybody from living as low of mentality as I've had to at times in life. And a lot of it in the future is going to center around darker humor, adult humor. I have a bad habit. I call it a bad habit anyway. Other people tend to say different things about it, but I turn any situation into comedy. It's just my way of dealing with everything. I would rather be able to laugh about it than stress about it or get sad about it. Remember the good times and laugh my way through things until it's better. And I'm just trying to help people do that along the way with my branding and my business, and any way I can help people get a little bit of a boost in life that we don't really get in this area very much.
Okay, can I interrupt you for a second and ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, now this one would be about the podcast. Is there something in particular that you're either investigating now or looking forward to investigating that you can kind of tease the audience with in this interview?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing I would tease at this point is what's going to be next week's episode. It was supposed to be tonight's episode, but unfortunately, life does get in the way for everybody sometimes, and it just wasn't in the cards for this week. We are going to be looking at a first in the Triangle File series I've been running, and we're looking at a completely foreign geographical triangle in Japan with the same kind of anomalies as the Bermuda Triangle or Lake Michigan Triangle that we've already covered. I'm super fascinated with the mysterious, let alone like pattern disappearances production, video, audio. I'm going to have sound bites and pretty much go into a fully produced podcast with a studio and appearing on camera. And my videos will pretty much completely change. Everything will be sounding a lot better. I've got a mic upgrade. I'm going to pretty much launch into full content creation after that, where I go into the comedy reels and the different ideas I've had. Like I DoorDash a lot. So one of my ideas for content is I've got the camera I'm going to use for my podcast also has a desktop tripod. So I'm going to tape that to my dashboard and film the traffic and my commentary on the traffic while I'm door dashing, and then edit that and turn it into different short form reels and content to get more viewers. And all of this is leading up to an eventual second podcast that will be more of an interview style podcast along the same lines, where I let people promote themselves for a half hour or 45 minutes, and then we'll talk about more outside the box interests. Like one of my main clients and my best friend, we've planned a couple episodes already for it. We'll talk about things like wrestling or breaking down music deeper than most would, or things like that people might be interested in. Just different things that people wouldn't realize these successful people are interested in, but because society doesn't really focus on that part of their lives, and helps people relate to the artists more or whoever I'm interviewing more, and maybe get that spark that they need to launch into their own direction of business or content creation or whatever they want to get into.
So maybe I could one day be a guest interviewed by you.
Definitely, absolutely.
One hand washes the other. Okay, can I tell you my favorite podcast of yours so far?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear about that. I don't get a lot of feedback. I do have a couple buddies that I haven't talked to in a long time that have reached out and are regular listeners, but other than that, I don't get a whole lot of feedback.
Okay, now here's the gig. I need to get on YouTube so I can comment. I've been listening to you through Spotify because I listen to you oftentimes when I'm outside doing gardening. So I need to get on YouTube and leave you some comments to let you know what resonates with me and what I like and whatever. But the one I like the most was your replacement theory one. Okay, and let me tell you what I liked about it. This is when I decided I want to interview him to promote his podcast because I think he's heading in the right direction. It was you did not insult people who were thinking maybe this was a possibility. You simply explained how people could change appearance and maybe the way they look, how they talk, just their personal appearance, everything. You explained it to people without calling people crazy or whatever for believing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, because that's something I do very, very intentionally. I've been called crazy a lot. I have no shame in saying I've made 7 therapists quit their job or get fired because they couldn't understand where I was coming from on certain things.
Right. Yep.
So I'm not out here trying to make people feel bad about what they may believe, or what they may think. I'm just trying to help people understand why things might happen or why they might think this way. Like, eventually, I'm sure one thing I'll cover that everybody loves to talk about are Mandela effects. That's something that would be great for my podcast, because because I can say, like, okay, here's how it really was, but this is why we believe it this way.
Oh, I would love that one that fits in the field with that. Yeah, it's like this, it's like adjunct to it.
Exactly. And that's one thing. I shifted a little bit in the style I was doing, but I did it for a purpose, just with the wrong timing. I'm trying to gauge what kind of content will do the best for me. And I'm trying to break that up now into 3-month blocks so I can get kind of a longer term view of the growth and the reach of each of the different styles. So I can adjust at the next year, like, okay, this style worked really well, this style worked really well, let's keep these, but these didn't work, so let's try something new and mix the new stuff in with the stuff that worked. And just keep developing the brand for the viewers and myself, because I'm into so many different things.
Yeah, and you don't want it to get stale for. Yeah, you don't want to get it to get stale for you or the for the customer too, but you don't want it to get stale for you, because then it's like going to work and it's like, what's my purpose? I've worn myself out of the same thing. I need to shake it up a little bit.
Exactly, and that's been my biggest problem pretty much my whole life. Even in school, it was always told to me, you're very intelligent, you can do so much, but you just don't. And that's because monotony gets so boring to me that I just lose all the effort.
Yeah, yeah.
I get so dry with everything. Like, everybody tells me, oh, just go to a factory for a couple months and you can get back on your feet and be good to go. And I'm like, I can only last a couple weeks in a factory. I've tried. Like, I can do convenience store work or retail work because it's not the same every day, but it has to be in certain situations because I'm not that guy that can fit into a corporate type job, because I don't necessarily keep my mouth shut in certain situations when I'm disrespected or things like that, because I grew up in gas stations that were owned by family working those, or close friends that were privately owned. So I had a little more leeway to handle customers with the proper respect, but how I needed to for the business.
Right.
Whereas, say I work at somewhere like, well, let's not throw names out there, but bigger chain gas stations around that have different regulations you have to follow, and certain things like if somebody tries to rob you, you can't do anything, or if somebody's harassing you or being violent in the store or things like that, you can't do anything about it. You just have to sit there and wait. Now, I'm not that kind of a person. I'm a protector kind of person. If something's going on, I feel the need to step in, and it'll bug me if I don't. So I really had to find a way that I could still end up in a successful position, but be able to adapt to the way society has become, because I don't necessarily agree with the way things have happened lately.
Gotcha. So do you so you plan on, okay, so we're focusing right now on your podcast. Would you like to promote any other part, like your 3D printing, or any other projects you like to promote, money-making projects particularly?
Definitely. The way I've got everything set up right now, everything is going to eventually start working off of each other. So it will all be cross-promotion. Because everything I do as far as merchandising or self-promotion or my editing or my videos, everything I do is independent. I do it all myself. Designing everything from start to finish is done by me. The laser engraving, the shirts, the vinyl work, The only thing I'm not doing myself right now is the actual full color, full detail prints that I've been doing for people. I do have to order those outsourced. But all that custom work that everybody sees is available through my business as well, which is Cadoo's Customs on Facebook. I did just get a new piece of equipment that I haven't even announced yet.
A member of the
Once
Satanic
I get the
Temple
hang of it, I'm
and
going
just
to
gave
be
it an
the different
accommodation
stores
allowing
like
her to
Etsy
use the
and
bathroom.
Shopify and Redbubble and the different online custom services and product buying sites that'll be out there.
Okay, I'm trying to get this for the camera. I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you, but what is it? Cadoo's Customs?
Yeah, CADOO apostrophe S and then Customs, CUSTOMS.
Thank you for saying that for the.
URL itself for people on PC is facebook.com/LCDC21. All the letters in the LCDC are capitalized. And the reason that URL is like that, and I like telling this story because a lot of the stuff I do has secret meaning, whether it be to me or other people close to me. I like hiding things and seeing if people can find them and connect the dots and mysteries along the way.
Like a seek and find.
People haven't even noticed have a lot of symbolism for future episodes or future projects. There's already products out with the second podcast name that people don't even realize. And I've been laying groundwork since I started the new page, essentially, for things months down the road. But that URL specifically, my very first business name when I started April 1st of 21 was Lucas's Custom Details and Clothwares. And I did that so it would be my initials and my grandpa's initials, and then the year I started my business. So it's LCDC 21 for me, my grandpa, and then the year I started my business.
Okay, that sounds. Ooh, I like it. I like it. So I got this up for the people on the camera. I'm recording this both on the tablet and the camera. So I got your Facebook page up for the people on who are going to watch this on YouTube. Tell us more about, if you want to, tell us about like your FOIA requests and all the stuff that goes into, to let people know how hard you're working on these episodes so they can appreciate what you're doing here.
Well, the FOIA request is a battle that I knew was going to be challenging because I know certain organizations don't like releasing certain information. I did not expect it to be as much of a battle as it's been, which is why I had to shift so early from the more analytical style. I've only been able to get a couple FOIA requests answered, and for people not familiar with FOIA, that's Freedom of Information Act. You can request pretty much any information from the government or any organization that's public information. They can redact it, and it is a chore to try and work with what they send you, especially in older cases. If we look at my very first episode I did, one of the crimes I've always been fascinated with, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Almost 100-year-old case. You would think by now redactions wouldn't be necessary and they would have updated everything to more digital files and fixed things that were incorrect. Just that episode alone took me almost a month and a half to research and put together between going through all the original evidence files. I mean, we're talking handwritten type documents from the 20s and 30s, trying to read it all and decipher what they were figuring out. And then you get all into the mistakes and the corruption and everything from back in those times, trying to piece together the details. With that one, I got lucky. There was a really great website out there called myalcaponemuseum.com, and the guy that runs that had already did a lot of the legwork as far as piecing together what's happened since it actually happened. And I was able to use a lot of that. But a lot of that I also already knew because of my own fascination with it. I just didn't have the records and the proof, and I could link to that through his stuff. But there's other cases I wanted to cover along the Freedom of Information Act request that the only responses I'm getting are, well, we already released all of that information, but it's stuff I've researched for years, so I know that isn't the case. And trying to maneuver around that has been a real chore, and it was really getting to me mentally, trying to put together my episodes in a timely manner to run that style. That's why I shifted almost instantaneously from that purely analytical breakdown style to the more cryptic aspects like the paranormal and the conspiracy theories, because it's a lot easier to work with those, just going out and finding, okay, this is widely believed, this is widely believed, this is widely believed, but here's what might actually be happening, so I can combine this information that I've found in these various places rather than 100% specific information, and then use the way my mind works as far as loving to understand psychology and different aspects of human behavior to piece everything together and help teach people how to understand themselves or society as a whole.
Yeah, them, to be honest with you, now this is just a personal preference. So I'm not saying that this should be a goal of yours, but when you're talking about your view, like explaining things as opposed to having to go through all the paperwork and, see what's true, see what's not, see what contradicts, blah, blah, blah. Like the one I was talking about, the replacement theory. I liked that episode, intrigued me more. It might just be your narrative style though, but that intrigued me more than the other ones, just simply because you're helping people. I think it was just you're helping people see how things, if you looked at it differently, it could make sense differently.
Yeah, I like that feeling a lot more myself. And that's why I stuck with it more, going from those kind of theories and the paranormal aspects I liked too. Again, all these episodes, as good as they are on audio, I personally like the YouTube channel versions a lot better, just because it adds that visual element. Like, there's been a couple episodes where I've done things in the YouTube channel that didn't really translate to the audio versions because you can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I know there was one, my cousin reached out to me and I had added in like the audio effect to the Triangle File series. And I'd forgotten to balance the audio, so the audio in those were really loud and then the talking was kind of quiet. But if you would have watched the YouTube channel, you would have seen the visual effects that went with the sound effects and why it all went together the way it did. So it would have made more sense. It's just the audio still wouldn't have been balanced. And there's different things like that have been a learning curve that I'm trying to balance out and figure out one of the ways I've started fixing things like that is I'll record my audio first, and then while I'm making the video for the episode, I will break it apart and add just the sound effects and visual transitions into the YouTube, so it's not getting that broken effects with no meaning into the audio. That way, I'm just trying to improve that experience for the different styles of viewers, whatever aspects they're listening, because I know I have a lot of people that'll listen in the car or on their work. One of my regular listeners is always on his forklift at his factory when he's listening, and one of the times I tried to balance my audio was really quiet. So it's different learning curves throughout it all, that things have to change and adapt. And then there's me and the way I talk and the way I look at different things that translate better. Like my analytical style, I get really in-depth and analytical, which is too much for some people. Whereas I'm looking at the conspiracies and things, and I can be more open and carefree about how I'm talking and make it more of a narrative versus a breakdown.
Yeah.
So it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for, structured. So it feels more like a conversation versus education experience.
Yeah, with me, okay, I've only done a couple podcasts where I've done the biographies. I'm getting more into just doing biographies now. I'm going to try and stick with like biographies, people's personal, like day-to-day life, like maybe people I know, interviewing them. And then, of course, promoting the businesses such as this podcast. But when I'm doing the hard facts, to me, it's harder to make it. I know I'm listening to myself, and we're always our own worst critic. But for me, I'm thinking, this just sounds so boring.
Right, and that's the thing, is trying to find stuff that not only sounds good to you while you're doing it, and you can get passionate about doing the research and putting your emotions and stuff into it, but then once you actually get into editing and everything, and you're listening to it, and you're just like, this is not going to translate well to the viewer. Like, as much as it interested me and how much interest I could put into it, it's not necessarily like that for other people. And then you sit there and listen to it on repeat so much, trying to get everything right in the edit, that eventually it's just like, yeah, no, I can't put this out.
Right. By then you've overanalyzed it so much that you abhor it. And to be honest, a lot of these things, if we were we're our own worst critic, and that's the hardest thing about running whatever business, whether it be a podcast or whether you're doing your 3D printing or your shirts, whatever you're doing, we're our own worst critic. I'm like that gardening. I got a seasonal job gardening at the local museum, and I'm my own worst critic there.
Oh yeah, I definitely get that. Growing up with my grandparents, I was around them most of the time. My mom was there, but we had our own personal differences we couldn't get through sometimes. So I was raised really old school. And like, just to do stuff, and for me, it has to be at a certain point, or I cannot put it out there. Even my custom products, my clients will get mad at me sometimes because I'll point out the most minute details about something and offer to fix it or make a new one or replace it, and they're just like, I wouldn't even notice that if you wouldn't have said anything.
Right.
Nobody's going to notice that. I do not care. I love the shirt, man. And I was like, well, but it's not right. It's an eighth of an inch off. It's bugging me. I had to at least let you know. People are just like, yeah, no, it's fine.
It's like, yeah, I don't care. Nobody's going to notice. It's good.
Right, and I do that with literally everything I do. Even making myself dinner, I'm few people I'll run things by because I've learned the hard way. You have to keep things very, very quiet in business these days. Otherwise, things just happen that you planned on doing that you can't do anymore. Otherwise, it would look like you're stealing somebody else's idea.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And that's happened quite a few times to me already. So it's one thing, like with the new piece of equipment, like I've not mentioned it to maybe 4 people specifically what the piece of equipment was. Just because every time I've bought a piece of equipment, like when I started my business, I started it with the last stimulus check we got, and I went out and bought a Cricket. And I had talked about it for a couple months before I did it, and I realized very quickly that was a mistake because the month after I bought mine and started my business, 10 to 15 other people started offering the same services on Facebook. So fast forward, I think it was a year down the road, I bought a sublimation printer to do like tumblers and different cooler objects with full color, full detail design. I talked about that a little bit on social media. And a month after I get it, there's another 10 to 15 people doing it, including family members in the same counties as I am.
Bunch of traitors.
That's the point where I was just like, okay, I'm just not going to talk about anything anymore. I'm just going to wait till I'm fully ready to do it and fully advanced into it already to where whoever wants to start it after I do can start it. But I've already so far deep into it past them that they can't take my business away from me like they have been.
That reminds me of the dentist, or when the dentist used to be here in Hudson, was it Solzberg? He says, I'll go out and I'll buy the latest dental equipment, from the manufacturer, and, I get it in, I'm still paying it off, and then that manufacturer will have gone out of business. So the supplies I need for this specific, machine or whatever, I can no longer get. And I'm still paying it off.
Yep. I've actually ran into that problem already in this business too, so.
Oh, you bought something that...
Smaller equipment, it upgrades so fast.
Oh.
It's everything obsolete, and you just have to upgrade. Like a lot of my print work that you see, the different flyers or business cards or stickers, I'm still using a cartridge inkjet printer. And that's not cheap.
Right.
When it comes to the mass prints, especially for my music clients that I've done stickers for that want 300-400 stickers, there's times I'm actually eating money on orders because I just don't approve of the way my industry handles their business, because they charge people so much for things that really aren't that much to do. But I'm not going to give away complete secrets, but the products industry is a lot more affordable than people realize. And the people in the industry like to take advantage of that because they think the consumer thinks it's so much more complex than it really is. And so that's how I try and make my business stand apart. I'm got some of the best quality with the most affordable pricing, and I'm not getting that much money out of anybody. I'm trying more to make people happy with what I put out. I'm more worried about the quality and what they want versus how much I'm getting. I'll work with pricing. I'll give discounts for reasons most people wouldn't even think of. I regularly give out local discounts if it's a business or somebody doing content creation or trying to grow and get somewhere. I'll give them discounts for that. Bulk discounts if you buy more than 2 or 3 products sometimes, or if you got a certain amount you can spend, but you need a few certain things, I'll work with you. And it's just things I do that people tend to, I feel like they over-compliment me for, because it used to be just common business practice that I grew up in pretty much any business, that just doesn't happen anymore. So I don't feel like I'm doing anything special for anybody, but everybody feels like I'm doing the most for them for the best pricing. And I feel like that's just the best way to form business relationships as far as good business and being able to help each other out with your orders. And, oh, well, I can't really work with this time, but if you can do this, I can do this next time. Or if you run a business and I can use your services, I'll trade services. I'm really open to just working with people and trying to help people feel better and good. And I know what it's like to not be able to afford nice things at Christmas for people, or different holidays, or gifts in general for people. So I try and put out that great quality, gonna definitely make you happy and give you a smile, and know you're gonna make the person you're trying to make happy too, even if that means I'm only making a few dollars on each product. It all adds up eventually, and we can always make more money the next day.
Yeah, I that exchange, especially when I think about 2001, people started rethinking about buying and selling, and was looking more towards basically trade for services. Like I'll walk your dog for the next month if, I give you, if you give me this mattress or whatever, something like that. And that comes in that to, depending on what you're looking for, that can be way more valuable than cash.
Exactly. Some of the best deals I've made have been more barter deals than money deals. I've had clients that have tried to start doing things for themselves that didn't work out, and they have a piece of equipment that I can use, and we're like, hey, can you toss me this and give me some discounts on the orders, or make me this run of shirts for free, or whatever. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you just saved me this much money doing this. Why wouldn't I help you out with this? I mean, that's just how the way the world used to work. Why wouldn't I do that? That just makes sense. We're both benefiting. We're both going to grow from it. We don't have to be out here trying to hurt each other and bring each other down and shut each other down as far as business.
And the best thing is
to work together and come together, we make the world a better place again.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is like if you do that trade, you don't have to pay taxes on that. Like if I was to get something, like if I was to get like maybe a microphone for my podcasting from somebody, and I was able to trade them for whatever, dog walking or house cleaning services or whatever, I would have had to pay taxes on that if I bought that microphone from whether Amazon or Temu or, Staples or wherever. Whereas now it actually saves me money because I don't have to pay them taxes.
Exactly. And that's another thing people don't realize about getting into this kind of stuff is figuring out taxes. Just doing my taxes for the door dashing last year, before I was even getting this deep into the content creation side of things, trying to figure out your write-offs and your everything else. And then once you get into the content creation, you can make almost every single thing you do in your life a write-off. It's you've got to figure out how to plan for everything, to make everything work the right way, and try and organize your day. That way it works out in the right order, so it's all part of the business plan for the day. And that's another aspect that people might not understand that we can go into at a future point. Just a way to really start to benefit yourself if you want to get into this kind of stuff, the things to watch for and save receipts on, and things you can do to make things that are also fun and enjoyable beneficial as far as your taxes or your business or your content. That'd be another great episode someday that we could break down for people. And
Oh, yeah, give them great ideas on how to just manage the business and also like how to procure items for free or basically free just to get started so you're not dumping hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars on stuff just to start.
right, and that's one thing. What I'm about to say will make a lot more sense in a few weeks when everybody can see what I mean. But I'm about to take my podcast in a different direction that's going to be more along the lines of like the replacement theory episode as far as the feeling and the style. But I'm going into a fully produced podcast, basically. But it's going to be completely independent. And I got all my equipment for that, almost all of it. Everything except for the upgraded microphone and the actual video camera I'll be using was paid for by playing games on my phone and using the online gift cards to order stuff on Team. And that's something that a lot of people won't even think of. They'll think, oh, it's just a $10, $25 gift card. It's not going to do me anything. But if you use it the right way and research what you're trying to do before you start earning the money and earning your way to things, you can plan for things to plot it out to work out without breaking your bank or breaking what you need to do for your daily life that will immensely benefit you in the future. That's like my podcast hosting service. I still haven't even had to upgrade from the free service yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm still using the free hosting service, and I'm almost 3 months into my podcast.
Do you mind telling us what?
Upgrade that, I get so much more. I get an automatic website for my podcast right on my hosting site. I get a bunch of different like membership aspects, so I can start doing like uncensored content when I launch into the new style, because I'll be talking in essentially it's a gimmick, but at the same time it fits the backstory I set up. Because I do feel almost like I break away from my reality when I get into my podcast work. Because I can just forget about my phone and forget about my problems in the world and envelop myself in the podcast. So, and the way my algorithm works on Facebook, I'm seeing a lot of people in these gimmicked outfits and different aspects of their reels or content and doing different things that I like to do and enjoy and can add to. So it all just worked out in a way that I was able to do it really affordably. And it's just different things like that that a lot of people don't connect the dots on, and we could break down for them and help them out and try and get them to get a start in something that breaks up the society's norm of that 9-to-5 job every day and the monotony of common life.
Well, yeah, that's when they're usually listening to the monotonous times, like you're talking about, the drive home, maybe at work if they're in a factory and they're in a repetitive job at a factory, like a press operator. Or, when I'm washing dishes, when I'm out gardening. That's when I typically listen to the podcasts. It's to break up that monotony.
Right, and that's where my stuff that I like to do comes in, because not only am I helping people break that up, I'm also trying to help them find ways to break that up for themselves and be okay with it without having to feel like they're weird or ostracized from society for something. And try and help people get that mental benefit that's just, I can really be myself again. I don't have to fit these molds that people want to put on me. I can be who I am, and people will still like me, and I can still be successful and not have to deal with the stress of, most of the stress of daily life these days.
Can I ask you, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. This might be a trade secret for you, but what hosting site? I'm using Podbean and it's very limited. What are you using?
I use Buzzsprout. I did my research for a good month and a half, and Buzzsprout seemed to be my best option. They do the free option where they'll host everything for you. Everything stays up for 90 days minimum. So after 90 days, you can upgrade and they'll stay up permanently, which is what at the point I'm getting ready to do, which is how I've been able to stay on the free plan for the 3 months. But I don't want my old episodes to be lost now, so
Right.
that's why I'm going to be doing the upgrade.
Now, do they distribute? Oh, I'm sorry.
Out seems to be a lot better. I know it gets to all the audio platforms.
Okay, yep.
And then for Spotify and Apple, it actually lets you go into their platform as well and do it separately. So you can see your analytics just from their platform, not just a generalized standpoint. And then they have the different aspects, like you can get mixing and mastering AI features so you sound better, and like they'll add in the free website once you start upgrade to the paid plan, and you get all these RSS feeds and different players you can embed on your own websites if you have them. Just all these different aspects, and you only have to upgrade to a $19 a month plan.
Oh, that's a good
It
price.
doesn't really break the bank, but still gives you all the benefits of a major podcast would have.
Wow. Yeah, that's a wow.
The ease of access is really simple. It's all point and click for the most part. Point and click and copy and paste. Besides your custom creation stuff, as far as your naming, your descriptions, and things like that. That's all still, you gotta either type that in, or I have usually general ideas that are pretty good. I just use AI to tighten them up and make them sound the best for the search engines and things like that. And so a lot of my descriptions and my titles and things are mine, but they're also tightened up by AI, so they're just copy and paste.
Gotcha.
To make things easier, but not fully to where it's like, okay, he's not actually doing this.
Right. It's got enough of you in there to where they're not saying, "Oh, this is a bot or something."
Right. Like, I'm not trying to be that guy that's out here just, okay, well, I put out this episode because this thing told me to do it, and this is what this thing told me about it to put out there. I like doing the content for myself too, and so I try and put as much of myself into it as I can before I even let the programs touch my work or my wording or anything like that.
Isn't it great where like you're doing a podcast and you're learning. I mean, like a lot of it you've already known. That's how you got interested in it. But you still, when you're when you're reading about it, when you're listening to other sources about it, you're finding out that you're still learning stuff. So it's keeping you still interested.
Well, this isn't something I normally say publicly. I'm not one to toot my own horn or brag or put myself at a level, I guess. I don't like that. I like being that humble guy. But the way my life had developed over the last, let's say, 9 months until I got into the launch of the actual podcast and everything, I wasn't able to do a whole lot. So I just had this time to plan until I could get the money together to implement the plan. And along the way, I've been getting it all into AI and watching the podcast I like along the same lines and getting different ideas. And even the ChatGPT is what I mainly use for my business aspects. But I have laid out the full plan for my brand and growth and how I'm doing things and plans I have. And even ChatGPT won't change anything about my plan and is telling me I'm years in advance of the ways I'm thinking for people doing what I'm doing. And having everything to where I'm doing it completely independently so everything bounces off of each other and I can sell all the services, not just the products. And doing everything the way I'm doing it is, unfortunately and fortunately, a lot more advanced than most people only 3 months into podcasting. So a lot of it to me, it's definitely still learning things, but it's more learning how to utilize things I've already started planning on using better.
Gotcha.
And that's the kind of stuff that really keeps me hooked on things, because I have such an analytical mind that I can lay out the plans and the groundwork and foundations for everything really easily. But it's once I get into actually working along that plan or foundation and coming into the bumps in the road and figuring out your ways around the different things to maneuver. That's the part that really keeps me hooked and interested into doing stuff and figuring out the way things work in depth versus, okay, this is where I need to be and this is how I need to get here, but figuring out the details of actually doing it is the part that has really kept me focused and wanting to get this out there for more people that might not understand it that deeply, so they can try and get a better footing in it and their starts as well.
Gotcha. Well, we sure do appreciate it. It's all, our hour's almost up. Now, once again, tell us where to find you. Tell us all you want us to know about you and all your sites and your whatever. Just tell us.
Well, I can make it really easy for most people, and this is something that I was amazed when I found out. You can just type in my last name, Cadoo, and add an M, so it's Cadoo, Cadoom, into Google, and the first 2 to 3 pages are all my information and links and websites and everything. But if you want to go to the individual platforms, as far as social media, I have Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm not sure about Threads because they had a problem with one of my old business designs like 3 years ago. So I don't know if my stuff is actually going there or not, because every time I check, they keep telling me I'm under review still. But that might be there too. So you can just type in Cadoomed, which is just the Cadoomed, and most everything will show up. If you go to Facebook on the Cadoomed brand page, I've got multiple graphics with all the audio links and brand links to the social media medias as well. And most of the social medias are linked on the actual page. As far as trying to list the links of everything, most of them are generalized links with a bunch of letters and numbers and things like that in there. But for brand, I believe the YouTube is at Cadoomed Brand. The Instagram and Facebook are both just at Cadoomed. And the TikTok is at Cadoomed Brand as well. As far as business, it's only on Facebook right now. I transferred all that social media to the brand when I had to shift focus because of money issues. But I'm working on getting that up. But that's just the Cadoo's Customs on Facebook, and it'll be the Phoenix logo that I designed for the profile picture. As far as that goes, any kind of services I do direct film printing, diode laser engraving right now, which I'm looking into upgrading my lasers to doing different aspects of laser engraving as well. I will announce it here. I just got my 3D printer in this week, and I haven't got to start working with it yet, but I'm hoping by the end of the weekend I'm starting to work with that and bringing that out for the business. And I still do the vinyl work with the Cricut. My sublimation printer doesn't work anymore, but I am looking into getting a new one and upgrading my regular printer for the promotional work like the flyers and the business cards. I'm pretty much willing to hear anybody's idea out and figure out if I can do it. I mean, I've even built trunks and chests for people when they wanted something built. I'm pretty much a one-stop shop for custom products, and if I can't do it, I will gladly point you to somebody that can, or a better route that's more affordable if I have to be too high on my pricing. I have no shame in turning down your business to make sure you get a better deal if I have to be outrageous. And you can pretty much reach me on any social medias. I'm pretty much always got my phone in my hands and turned up, so feel free to reach out. And I am going to be doing my annual customer appreciation sale, I believe next month. It's usually this month on April 1st, my start date for business, but personal life again got in the way, and I just didn't have the excess money to be able to cut the deals I usually do for the appreciation sale. So I postponed it for about a month. But you can get on the different social medias and see the kind of products I do and plot for it a month out. I usually do between 25% and 33% off for my customer appreciation sale, and I can usually have products back out to you within 48 to 72 hours, and I ship for pretty much free. If the shipping's over $10, I do have to charge you a little bit, but I will eat most of the shipping, and I eat all of the taxes. There are no taxes on your pricing. I just eat that and pay it at the end of the year. And by the end of the year, there will also be another announcement about going through my business, but I'm not quite ready for that one yet. I'm trying to build a little bit more of a following before I announce that one, because the bigger following I have for that, the more impact it will make, and as many people as I hope that announcement will end up benefiting in the future, forever in the future. I really hope that will entice a lot of people to go through me, but not be the reason, like, so much, like, oh, hey, he's going to do this, so let's only go through with him. But I do plan on donating a percentage of my profits at the end of the year, every year, to a couple organizations. And I'm not quite ready to fully announce that yet, but that is in the plans as soon as I'm able to feasibly do that as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much for all that. We're going to end the conversation now and check them out. Cadoomed, Cadoom, last letter M as in Mary. Have a good day.